What is up, people, and welcome back to the zcar build. Right, so we're back in here now. We need to get it running, right? Apparently this drove last, I think the chap said, well, it's been a couple of years, because he just doesn't want to drive it. It's just come out of Custom Minis. It's had a brand new body, two-piece body, full custom wheel arches. It's right, so we need to get it running. It won't run. But it fired for a second and died. So I took this plug off the fuel pump and had a look. And it's in there. This is your fuel pump plug. As you can see, we're in there. So you put this on, right? Hang on, it's not going to be easy. Just had it in there. This plug, I've got to say, isn't the best in the world. Right, so plug is on, right? So what we'll do, we'll come around here, we'll flick the power on. Power's on. Listen for the fuel pump. Can you see the problem? And it cranks, but we're not getting fuel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a voltmeter on here first, to make sure that we've actually got power whilst cranking. And then I've got to find the pin out for this, and we'll put some power to this. Right, then I'll get my tester. So I've jammed my tester wires in there, set it to the volt and squiggly line. Right, now all I'm going to do is flick the ignition on.
Which squiggly line?
Should have worked. Ready, ignition on. 12.7 volts. So that pump should be singing. So now we need to figure out why the pump isn't working. So what we need to do is find the pin out for that pump. How we do that, I don't know, because I do not know what pump it is, but we're going to do it. Right then, back in a minute. Right, so what a buddy's told me, the pins in here, two will have continuity, yeah, and two won't. The continuity is running to the pump, and the two that aren't is going to the fuel flow thing. Look at the fuel line cracking. Look at that. That is mint, isn't it? Anyway, it's right. These wires, I think this black wire was in this top hole, so it might have just been that it was wired wrong. So, move my tester off. Yes. Plug the plug back in. And we'll try again. And we're going to watch out for fuel pissing out of that broken line. Oh! Do it a couple of times. Can't see anything leaking. She lives. She sounds a little bit like she needs a bit of tick over, to be honest. Or some new fuel. Let's get in. One foot in the grave. What is that? Ah, it's the bolts. These are the bolts at the top of the body. Oh, she sounds tidy, doesn't she? It does sound nice and tidy. some old fuel because it's absolutely stinks. That fuel's been in there a long time. Right, she runs then. So yeah, we sorted out the first issue. We got it to run. I don't know how long that fuel's been in there. Jesus, it stinks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the... He did say he's only used it twice. So yeah. That, whoo, made that fuel. It's got that lovely smell to it. So right, first things first then, it runs. I want you to know it runs before anything goes for sale. There's no... You've got to know something runs to sell it. And this is zcar's engine. It came from zcar's. How nice is internal? I don't know. But it has got a solid camshaft tensioner on it. But because I'm not going to look into it, it'll be sold as a standard engine. It's more than likely got their output shaft in it, the big one. I'll check that by popping off that case. And we can look at the size of the output shaft. Right, so first thing's done. She lives. I'm quite happy about that. It's just the pin out was wrong. So from that now we can determine we can start taking stuff off this car, right? So I think first thing I'm going to do first is I want the seat to come out. The seat's going to come off. The bulkheads are going to come out. That stuff can be stored away. So right then, we'll crack on with that. Seat out, bulkhead off. Battery off, and then we need to get the exhaust off out the way. We need to start working our way so we can get the engine out. So engine out, I want to leave it rolling as long as possible. So I want to roll it outside, drop all the water, ditch the rad. The rad's got to go to price engineering. Fuel tank's got to come out. Oil cooler's coming off because we're not running an oil cooler. Because we're having dry sump tank. The dry sump tank being a hill climb car, it doesn't really need one. You're not going to boil the oil, all that oil in that tank, in a minute or two. So we're not going to run an oil cooler, so we can ditch all of that line. We're at the point where everything's got to be taken apart. Okay, so we're going to work on that. Strip down. I've got such a bloody headache, and that smell hasn't helped. Strip down start. Right then, let's get cracking, shall we? Right, so that's out. And yes, you noticed all the joints were covered in like the bitumen stuff you use for your roof. Oh, what a nightmare. And look at these holes drilled everywhere in the roll cage. They've literally just drilled holes everywhere to fix it. That's not what you do. You do not drill your roll cage. You weld tabs on to mount stuff too. All these holes, I mean, look at this big hole here. Right next to an engine mount. That could just fracture through there. I mean, but anyway, forget moaning about that. What a sexy manifold. Look at that. That is a good looking manifold. I will give it that. It is nice. So we've got that out so we can see what we're working with here. So basically we've just got these two. And then the two big ones at the back. We have to take the carbs off, the throttle body's even, so we can bring the engine forward and in. So I'm going to take this off. All the wiring's got to come out. That plug there is the light loom, because it used to he had a whole light loom made, but he doesn't need any of that now, so all that can go. These oil lines, these have got to come out because they're going, because we're not using that anymore. I'll I think the new engine has got the blanking plates on. Of course it has, it's got a dry sump on it. You sausage. Yeah, we'll go from there. Next thing I think then we need to do is get this off first, get it out of the way. And get that off. Then we need to get exhaust manifold off, chain off. And if you notice, I jacked up the back to bring it over and the springs were loose. There was like 10mm gap. So I've wound the preload on, because you've got to have preload in your shock. You can't not have preload in your shock. But now I've put that on, we've got even more drive shaft angle. Yes, we've got a little bit more ground clearance, but unless we buy shorter bodied shocks, i.e. the stanchion in the middle is shorter to take up that shortfall, that's what we're going to have to do. And whether he wants to buy new shocks really is something he needs to do during testing. Do you know what I mean? So we've got even more shock angle, but the arms are straightening out a bit, because the arms were up and the drive shaft was up. So if we can get the arms more level and then drop the diff down, we're going to put smaller sprockets on it, because it's got a humongous sprocket on it, which he had a lot of problem with wheel spinning in first and second. Well, with a huge blooming sprocket like that, it's a Talon sprocket, good sprocket, but it's massive. So the bigger the back sprocket is, the more acceleration you get. But it was just spinning first and second. Even after warming the tyres, spin first, second, third, you'd go. We're just putting a lot more power in the game. So we can change that ratio to try and help him get the torque down to the ground by making the engine have to work a little bit harder to get the wheel to turn. Right then, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some measurements of the chassis, just heights off the floor basically. So I know, because I know this is the ride height he wants, because that's what the body's been made for. Even though I've just took the back up by about 10mm, that's not going to make an issue. With these, you do want the back a bit higher because it's going to squat. So I'm going to take them measurements so I can make some blocks to go underneath. So when I take the front wheels off, so I can start checking the camber gains and all the droops and stuff, I know where the car's going to be sitting. So then I can test like an inch above, an inch below, just, you know, see where we get you. Right, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching. I know there wasn't a lot of content in here, there was more information. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.